Hi everyone, it's Dot, and tonight we're going to be making a delicious jerk chicken in my low-carb kitchen. Alright, as if you've been watching the last couple of videos, I've been doing a lot of Gordon Ramsay recipes, and yes, this is another one from the home cooking cookbook that I have, and I absolutely love it. This will be the last one I do probably for a while. Probably Gordon Ramsay'd out for now, but I was just interested in this recipe because I do love jerk chicken. I am making a slight two tweaks to it though. So let me just tell you pretty much what I'm doing. I've got 4 pieces of chicken thighs, and actually I've got 5 chicken legs, only because my packaging normally has 4, but it gave me a bonus one, so I'll take that. We're going to marinate this in a rub that I'm going to be making, and it's going to sit in the fridge for at least an hour or 2. You can certainly go overnight. That would lend itself for much better flavors, but I'm just going to do for about an hour or so. Now, the recipe calls for Scotch bonnet peppers. I don't have Scotch bonnet peppers because right now we're in December and they're just known to be had at my local grocery stores. So I'm going to use a jalapeno. So it's not as hot as a Scotch bonnet. Scotch bonnet is almost like on par with a habanero. As far as my spices, I'm going to be using cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, and allspice. So a lot of island spices, which is great. I'm using fresh thyme, using a couple of cloves of garlic. What I'm switching up a little bit, besides obviously the pepper, that's just a substitute, I'm going to use some spring onions in the marinade as well as some fresh cut ginger, just because I want a little bit of different type of flavoring. So this isn't quite exact, but I think it'll be close enough. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start working on the marinade first. Okay, I'm using about 7 sprigs of fresh thyme, and all I'm doing is just stripping it. I don't care if it's like if the young stems are like bright green or light green. That's fine if they get in there, they're soft enough, but I just don't want these woody stems in there. So all I'm doing is I'm just sort of firmly grabbing the thyme at the top if you've never stripped it before. And I always go the opposite direction that the leaves are growing in. So I'm going to go downward, and there, I've pretty much just stripped it. All right, I got my thyme all in here. It's all set. I'm going to go ahead and just add my spices. I'm going to put this aside. Well, actually, I'm going to keep that right there because I'm going to go ahead and press the garlic. And I'm just going to mince the garlic, and I've cut it to fit my press. So I'm just going to chop up my onions, and I want them small. I don't want them terribly large. I'm going to use the whole jalapeno. I'm going to just chop it up thinly, but the seeds are going in too, so I want heat because this is a jerk chicken, so you want that heat. I got my ginger. I'm not going to use a whole lot of ginger. I'm just going to use like maybe ½ an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and peel it. So what I'm going to do is just to chop it up into small pieces, and then I'm going to chop it up a little bit more. Now the next thing we're going to do, and I'm just going to mix this up. Now it's pretty dry, as you would expect, so I'm going to go ahead and add a light olive oil to it. Basically, I'm going to make a paste from this, and that paste is really going to come from the dry seasonings that I have in here. It smells really good. It is time to rub this deliciousness on the chicken. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour this in and then spread it around and just start rubbing it into the chicken. What I'm going to do, because I forgot to do this to the chicken, is what you want to do is score the chicken. You really want the seasoning to get all up in there. So I'm doing it after the fact, but that's okay. Because I want that seasoning just to really get in and be absorbed by the meat of the chicken. So I'm going to go ahead, take the meat out one by one, do a little bit of scoring, just a couple of slices across it into the meat, and then it's going to marinate for about an hour or so. Chicken's been marinating for over an hour right now. If you want, it makes more sense. The longer you leave it in the fridge, the better the marinade is going to be, and the more the flavors are going to really meld with the chicken. But with that, we are on a clock, so I'm going to cook, and all I'm going to do is I want to brown the chicken. You want it to cook for about 10 minutes in a hot oil. I'm just using olive oil, and I'm probably going to do this in batches because there's no way this is all going to fit. And then there's an ingredient I'm going to use after about 10 minutes. And I'm just gonna split it up between the two batches I'm going to be making. All right, I have a nice browning that's going on, and I'm adding, since I've split my batch up, I'm adding a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, which surprised me that I'm adding this into this, but it does definitely make a English version of jerk chicken. So I'm just gonna go ahead and sort of mix that, let the flavors melt. You cook it in the Worcestershire sauce for about a minute or two. I'm gonna do about a minute or so, because I split the batch up, so I'm splitting the time up. And I just wanna make sure I get the chicken all coated in the seasoning. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna transfer everything to the roasting pan I have here. Before you put it in the oven, you're gonna cover it with foil. Okay, it's been in the oven for about 15, 16, 17 minutes, somewhere around there. For the last 5 minutes of cooking, I'm gonna take off the foil, so that's what I'm gonna do right now. I can feel the heat. It's always hard to grab this with the tin foil, but it looks beautiful. It definitely looks as dark as I want it. It's gonna go back in now. It's starting to pull away from the bone, which is what I want. My kitchen smells like island spices. My mouth is watering, so that must mean my jerk chicken is done. It looks burnt almost, but it's not. It's just the seasoning has definitely darkened, which is what I wanted. I made this with a little bit of cilantro-lime cauliflower rice. So I have a slice of lime, and I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze a little bit on the chicken and a little bit on the cauliflower. I let it rest for a few minutes, by the way, so it's not piping hot right now. Wow, that's really delicious. Food all over my mouth. The spices taste absolutely wonderful. One doesn't really dominate. Has a little bit hint of ginger, so I'm very proud of that I added that. The meat's really tender. It's really juicy. I really highly encourage you to make this. Again, I added a couple of little things. I'll have that optional, you know, what I did optionally below the video as far as the recipe. But definitely want to encourage you to give this a try. It's a great way to have jerk chicken. Usually I make this in the summer and I just fire up at the grill and make it that way. With that, I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you give this a try. If you're new to the channel, go ahead, subscribe. If you see the little bell below the video in the lower right-hand corner, go ahead, click that. That way you'll know when the videos come out when you click the little bell. So with that, I will see you next time.